Today I was talking about project accounting and the way in which the nature of projects are very different to normal accounting concepts. They have lives of their own, and in the not-for-profit sector that might be fundraising, it might be delivering services to needy people. In that instance, the qualities of projects are quite different. So they have start and end dates, they have status codes, they don't behave like normal accounting measures. What are projects? Well, they are not constrained by fiscal calendars. They understand them, they acknowledge them, but they're not constrained by them. So most people who work in a projects environment think of them as having a life. And they also have other qualities. They start and they stop, and they have status codes. And a status code like planned or completed, that's not, how does a nominal understand that? You've completed something. What does that mean? Well, it means its life has changed. It's a living, breathing thing. It's very, very different to a nominal code. And we still bump into lots of organisations who have these unwieldy nominal structures where they've mimicked a project and they've created lots of codes, and then they've had to shut them down and hide them, and it slows the system down, and it contains rubbish that's 3 or 4 years old, and they don't even analyse it that way anymore. It's just historically locked into the system. So we come across that a lot, and it's really important that these constraints, we recognise these things are very, very different to a normal accounting unit like a nominal code. And they require alternative structures. So in a project sense, that's typically something like a work breakdown structure. But actually most of it is about terminology. So it's really about describing something in a way that a project manager recognises and says, I know what you're talking about here. It's not a nominal code, it's not an accounting speak. It's in plain English to someone who says, yeah, I know what that cost is, I understand it. And the significance, as I said earlier on, is usually that there's a life-to-date value in it. So whilst we have fiscal periods and fiscal years, most projects don't respect them. So the London Marathon is probably, for most charities, would be a 2-year project, and it rolls through a year end. And unless we can look at the life-to-date values, we can't really assess it properly. And the interesting thing is that life-to-date analysis means sometimes we're ahead of budget, sometimes we're behind. It doesn't matter because we're measuring it by the life, not by an individual fiscal period. So sometimes that's really important that we accept the fact that we go over budget early because we spent money on marketing, but then catch up with budget later on. It happens in projects. Most projects have dedicated staff, and tracking of projects is likely to be much, much more frequent. So it's likely to be weekly or daily. So you will all have encountered a project manager where you give him a set of accounts 10 days after month end, and they smile as if you're a simpleton and pick up their spreadsheet and go, yeah, but here's how it's doing today. Because they don't really care about that last month thing. The only bit that counts is, have you been fair to them in your month end close? Have you done something that they don't like? Other than that, they've got their own set of figures. And that's quite sad to go to an organisation and find that the managers are maintaining their own reporting systems because they don't trust or believe or don't want to wait for the accounting systems. So we still see that. It's very, very common, and it's an issue of projects that won't go away. And they require intelligent interpretation, which we'll touch upon a lot. So if you have a gathering of lots and lots of projects, how do you analyse them? Well, we have analysis categories everywhere. We have attributes. We need to be able to tag things and sometimes change those tags to say, why do these things happen? Why are some of them better than others? So typically tag it with the project manager. Who's our most successful project manager? Or which department? Or let's compare them by season, by year, by type. So use those analysis codes to start to gather some intelligence for your colleagues to be able to say, we've learnt something from this. So I was really talking to people about how they can use our system to gain intelligence and supply information to people who don't trust accounting or need convincing of where they stand. So a lot of it's about reporting information back to a variety of different audiences. Some of them would be stakeholders, some of them would be project managers, some of them would be a board of directors. Most organisations we talk to are embracing self-service, or what I call pull reporting, which is, can I have that please? Push reporting is, finance are done for the month, there you go. most people in projects aren't interested in that. They want to pull it and say, can I have it now, please? It's Monday morning, can I have my balances? Because I need to get on with my work. So the information delivery we're talking about has all of those characteristics, and it really affects what you do and how you present it. NFP, to me, the not-for-profit sector is really about people who care intensely about what they're doing and seek to do it better. It's just a quality of the people. They're driven to do better. In the NFP sector, probably one of the very few sectors that has to identify and avoid underspend. Where else would you come across that when someone says, great, we've underspent, and everyone else is going, that's a disaster. Because if you underspend, in some cases, you are not delivering and you will not get the money next time round. So it is very important that the tracking of budgets and spend in this particular environment is absolutely focused upon. I think in most cases when someone goes out to look for new software or new solution, they panic too much about being sold to, and actually we always have to have some quite intense conversations before we even talk about software. So I always say to people, let's have a conversation first. Tell us about yourselves. We've got very big ears, we're very good at listening, we've got small mouths, we won't tell you about the software until you're ready.